Have you ever wondered if the AC compressor on your car could be converted into an air compressor? The AC compressor that we are using today came off of a semi-truck, so it might be a little bit larger than the one on your car. In its stock form, how these work is when the AC is not engaged, this pulley is free spinning like this and the compressor is not turning. But when you apply 12 volts to this electromagnet clutch, to demonstrate that, I have a battery here, and let's activate this clutch. Now the compressor and the pulley are locked together. I have a fitting and an air line installed in the discharge port of the compressor, ran into an air tank with a gauge. Now for this demonstration, I will be bypassing the clutch mechanism and using a drill and a socket to go right onto the compressor portion. So let's see what it does. PSI, and that is just powering the compressor with a low torque drill. Now I have a slightly higher torque drill. Let's see what we can get up to. (40 psi). Pretty impressive just being powered by a drill. So your car engine will have 100 times as much power and speed as I can get with this drill. So it's safe to say that we can build pressure with this AC compressor setup. Important note, I grabbed this compressor out of the dumpster. I don't know what was wrong with it originally, but it's likely that it's probably not in tip-top shape. Now you might be wondering, what kind of pressure could I actually get out of one of these? Well, in the AC system, these things generally hit around 300 psi really regular. Now that is double of what we really need for our air system. But there is one pretty major hang-up with using this kind of system. Now there are some old school AC compressors that have a contained oiling system for the compressor components. Most modern AC compressors are not that way. How these compressors are lubed is there is oil throughout the refrigerant system that gets cycled through, and oil comes in here, lubes the components, goes back out the discharge onto other parts of the system. Now, where that creates a problem when we're just using air and we're not looping back into the suction side of this compressor is that the components inside are not getting lubed. And that can be a big issue. This would be a short-lived compressor. So the simplest way around that is to install an oil regulator on the suction side of the compressor. You can find these at Harbor Freight for pretty cheap. They're usually used for misting oil into the air system to keep your air tools lubed in a shop setting. Now, to regulate the actual amount of air pressure in our system, we can use the electromagnetic clutch and a pressure switch. Now I can actually show you one of these switches. So this is my dune buggy. Ignore all the carnage going on here. So this is one of those air pressure switches that I was talking about. So in this example, the cut in is 90 psi and the cut out is 120 psi. So when the air pressure reaches 90 psi in this air tank, voltage will pass through this switch and on to, in this case, my electric air compressor. So I've had an electric air compressor set up for several years on this thing, but it does leave a lot of room for want. So the electric compressor is very convenient, but the speed and the max PSI output of this compressor just isn't really that great. And I think the AC compressor converted to compressor setup would be far better, faster, more efficient. It could actually harness engine power directly rather than this compressor is the alternator charging the battery and then the compressor running off the battery. Not very efficient. Which there's already a factory AC compressor on there. Oh man, shouldn't be that hard. So some final notes on if you're going to do this setup, you think on a vehicle, is you do want a check valve going into your air tank. So the pressurized air out of your compressor comes in through here and then through a check valve, and then into the air tank. Now that keeps all that pressure from backfeeding through the compressor, possibly causing issues, possibly causing air loss. We can't have none of that. Now if you're a real risk taker, several of these compressors, but not all, come with a pre-installed pressure limiting switch. Now I don't necessarily know the PSI of this switch, but it's likely around 400 PSI. So if you're a real rule breaker, you can just apply a constant 12 volts to this if you're in dire need of air pressure and run this thing until this pressure switch kicks out the clutch. So you can see that is in line with our electromagnetic clutch. So it will automatically kill power to the clutch to ideally keep the compressor from destroying itself. Well, I hope this demonstration gave you some ideas. It certainly has been rolling around in my head. Now I fully intend to install this type of setup on a vehicle. So in the future you can see real life how durable and effective this is, for better or for worse.
Keep thinking.